He told me 3 days. Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I told him this is unacceptable. I was the whole people on the quick to let me listen. I love it. I'm good, sir. How are you doing? Y'all doing okay? Yeah. Cold weather. I'm leaving here to go get a deer stand, so I'm looking for that. Yeah. Yeah, I know it. See you guys. You guys here. I'm big sipper back in the room. Yeah. I pull up over. I gotta go back. Bounces all over the place. Oh, you mean turn that speaker towards you? You know, you will have feedback. Yeah, I know.
I hate it so much.
You're only like damn near married to the guy that people's all the time. She would have like this. Sit like home.
Like after this.
Yeah. What up, babe? Hey. Yeah. It's a grab. Grab this over. I really know the practice. That's not really.
Check, check, check. All right. I know some folks are trying to find their seats, but we're going to go ahead and try to get started. We got a full program to get to today. Are you glad to be here at the Little Rock Touchdown Club today? You could be a lot of other places, not so fun and not so nice. We got a heck of a program today. Some of the finest young men in our state, football players, and then two of the greatest coaches to ever coach on the Hill. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to remind everybody we wrap up at with one more meeting. Dari Noka from the SEC Network next week, and then Joe Theismann in January for our awards banquet. Do want to remind everybody the Touchdown Club sweatshirts and long sleeve t-shirts are available to buy. We want to thank Cassie and Taylor out there from Hogman's Game Day Superstore for doing those. At this time, I want Gary Underwood to come up. And Gary, I had a chance to talk to you. Were you going to mention something about Virginia? Do you know about the Virginia situation? Well, I was going to say, for those who don't know, there was a shooting last night on campus at the University of Virginia. 3 football players were shot and killed. And I know one of them actually played in the game Saturday, and so a really tragic deal. And Tony Elliott, the coach at Virginia, was a Broyles Award winner from Clemson a few years ago. So, Gary, if you'll come back, make sure and include them in your word of prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we first of all want to thank you for all the good gifts that you give us, your grace, your mercy, your peace. And Lord, we ask you to reach out into the hearts and homes of those affected by this tragedy in Virginia. The parents, the family, the students, the teammates. Lord, reach out and give them some level of your comfort and your peace. Lord, we ask you to just bless all those that are dealing with tragedy and issues in their lives. Lord, we thank you so much for all that you do for us and ask you to use us in your service. In your name we pray. Amen.
That's scary. Boy, I tell you what, that does put things into perspective that we're here today enjoying a fun day of a celebration of these fine young men and Coach Hatfield and Coach Nutt too. So obviously something to point at to be thankful where we are today. I want to remind everybody, Matt, I don't know if do you have the graphic? I want to remind everybody, speaking of awards, the Broyles Award is December 6th. So if you want to be a part of that, there's still tables available. There's still a few sponsorships. Remember, all the money goes to the Broyles Foundation, which helps support caregivers for Alzheimer's patients. And it's a great banquet. This is the 20, I think it's Jeff, is it the 26th? 27th year. My Lord. 27th year. If you want to talk with Jeff Hildebrand, he can help you with sponsorships or table sales, or I can too. But that's right around the corner. It is a great banquet. So we want to make sure to remind you about that. Also want to acknowledge some of our sponsors for our awards you see up on the banners today. New to us the last couple of years, Bill and Doris Lawrence for the Harlan Hill Award. Bill and Doris, we appreciate you sponsoring that. Top small college football player in America, offensive-wise. It's the small school Heisman. Mike and Dan Erie, the Dan Hampton Award. They've been doing that for several years. Mike, of course, good buddies with Dan Hampton. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, the Cliff Harris Award. Judy, thanks so much for Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings being a sponsor since the beginning there. And Simmons Bank for the Willie Rofe Award. And so that's what we basically point toward. We do all these national awards. We also do high school awards as well. But anyway, that's what we're here to do, and that's sort of what we've focused on when we try to make any money, is to pour it back into the club. I'm going to be a little bit shorter with our sponsor thank yous just because we're so packed today. So normally I talk a little bit more, but we're going to be pretty quick on those. I want to thank 103.7 The Buzz, Justin and Wes, Terry Mahan. Appreciate them being here every week. The Hatcher Agency, Twin City Limo, Greg Hatcher, I think. Greg, Houston, he was at your church speech last night, so I told him to come up and share a little bit about your speech last night if you could. Appreciate the support, Greg. War Memorial Stadium, Justin Dorsey, Shay Lewis, Stacy Hurst, we appreciate their work in keeping that fine, beautiful stadium active and helpful to all our Kansans. We appreciate them. Arkansas Urology, Scott Davis and Chris Shinup, saving lives of our Kansans every year. We appreciate all the things they do to go the extra mile. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard. They have a couple of guests today. Miss Dina Bates, VP of Products and Education, and Scott Stuckey, Senior Agent in Little Rock. Glad to have you here today. Wherever you raise your hand, where are you at? Where they are right there. Great to have you guys. And they actually have a new commercial, 30-second commercial. Matt, if we can punch that up, take a look at that.
There was a time when a person's word was enough. A time when a handshake meant something and integrity really mattered. For over 70 years, the values of Farm Bureau Insurance have been rooted in hard work, faith, and family. In that time, we've seen the world change in many ways. What hasn't wavered is Farm Bureau Insurance's commitment to protect our customers' way of life and serve the communities in which they live when they need us most. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Appreciate Farm Bureau, Pulaski County. Vantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks. I called you guys. Where you at, Kevin? Called you this weekend. My HVAC was not working. You guys got it going. I appreciate them. One call does it all. 501 call. Dairy Queen. I saw Nelson Lively. Appreciate him and his son Blake and what they do for DQ, one of the fastest growing restaurant chains in the South. Love Dairy Queen. Simmons Bank Arena. Want to remind everybody there are tickets still available for the Hogs Bradley game December 17th, but they're only upper level, $25. Also, Dwight Yoakam tickets went on sale. They're on sale now for the February 17th concert. Then the Big Red stores. Where's my Big Red gang at? Right here, celebrating 25 years of serving the state. At 48 locations, it will now be 49 locations because this week, Higdon Ferry Road in Hot Springs will be the 49th location. I love the count to 50. Can't wait to do that big celebration, but love Big Red Stores and what they do. Right, Lindsay and Jennings, Judy, as I mentioned earlier, thanks so much for believing in the Cliff Harris Award and getting ready to name a new National Defensive Player of the Year, small college, and so couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you, Right, Lindsay and Jennings. Crane Automotive, Larry Crane, appreciate them so much. I saw his grandson, Christian Crane, yesterday. Over 1,000 employees. They are Arkansas. Give them a chance to do some business with them. They're very great people, Crane Automotive. Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. We will not do our All Arkansas Preps honoree today. We'll do 2 next week. We'll just do 1 next week. Thank you. Keep me in line. But we've got so many athletes up here, we decided we'd just do 1 next week. But we appreciate Amanda's work there. And of course, Chris White and Pat Anderson representing Simmons Bank today. Coach Hatfield and Houston, you got to have a 5-star player. You got to have one of those, you got to have McFadden. Coach, there are McFadden. Got to give it a number 5. And, it's funny, Chris and Pat, Houston was talking about, Houston does CBS Sports. He said, man, this year, he said, I'd be sitting up in New York, and all of a sudden there'd be across the wire, there'd be a clip from the Little Rock Touchdown Club. There's John Gruden. A few days ago, there's Ed Orgeron. And it was so cool for Houston to be up in New York and seeing, he said, man, you guys are making national headlines. Couldn't do it without Simmons Bank. Couldn't do it without you guys. You're the best. And all of our great sponsors. Let's give them a round of applause if you could. Thank you to the Doubletree Hotel, Matt Johnson, M&M Productions, Dwayne Duncan shooting photos for us, RJ Hall handling our high school players, and our amazing Touchdown Club team. Houston, Coach, we've got the best in America. I say it every week. Nobody, look at this room. This room is packed, and everybody's seated and knows where to go, thanks to all of our wonderful ladies and guys who set things up, along with Debbie Wyman. Let's give a big round of applause to them. All right, the Razorbacks may have stumbled. Honorary team captain 53 could not pull them through. I tried to talk a little trash at midfield. Nobody listened to me. I felt like saying, listen, why are KJ and Dalton Wagner out here playing? I'm playing as much as you guys are today. Get 2 guys out here that can play today. But it was a great honor to be out there and great to have my family there. Just couldn't get them to victory. But I did hear about an unbelievable game down in Ouachita. The Battle of the Ravine, 95th version, right? 95th. 95. And so if you didn't know, it went basically, you guys, I'll let you give the detail. But this is the last call. This is the last call by Rex Nelson in overtime for the OBU win.
1 yard equals 6 points and a win in the Battle of the Ravine. Again, the direct snap to the senior, T.J. Cole, over left guard. He is to the land of milk. Honey, touchdown. Ouachita has won a 6th consecutive Battle of the Ravine. Say goodnight, Reddies. Paint an undefeated regular season purple. 11-0. 11-0. An undefeated season for you, Clark Yarborough.
There you go, with an abbreviated weekend recap. Give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. That name Clark Yarborough I mentioned at the end was the senior defensive end who passed away on the Sunday after the first game of the season. So I did make sure I worked his name in there. I'm going to make this real quick, like David's making everything quick, because we've got a lot of honorees. So we're going to start. David's no defensive player, and the defense played great. So I say you did your part as co-captain. They needed an offensive co-captain, David. You did your part. 13-10, chance to win at the end, but a fumble with 1:19 remaining ends that. Arkansas had a season-low 249 yards, but held LSU to 284 yards. There were combined, this is what a defensive game this was, 13 punts, 12 sacks, 17 tackles for loss in that football game combined. LSU, of course, now on the way to the SEC championship game. I don't think any of us really saw that coming in Brian Kelly's first year. They're 8-2, 6-1 in the SEC. Arkansas 5-5, 2-4. Now, back to that battle of the ravine for the ages David was talking about. Ouachita 40-37 in overtime. Ouachita finishes the regular season 11-0. That's their fourth undefeated regular season since 2014. They are 42-2 in conference play since the start of the 2018 season. But Henderson dominated most of the second half. Henderson came in number 24 in the country. Ouachita came in number 4 in the country. Great to have a rivalry between two ranked teams right here in Arkansas. Reddy scored 21 unanswered points, go up by 14, 34-20 with just 4:47 left in the fourth quarter. And I said on the air, this one's over. 4:47, Henderson's got all the momentum, up 14. Ouachita moves down the field quickly. 64 yards, 7 plays, taking just 1:46 off the clock. Scores to make it 34-27 with 3:01 left. They don't go for the onside kick yet. They kick deep, so you've got to hold Henderson to 3 and out. They do. Henderson shanks the punt. Everything had to go right. 24-yard punt. Ouachita starts just 51 yards away. They cover those 51 yards in just 4 plays, tie the score with 1:46 left. But they left too much time on the clock. So here comes Henderson. Back down the field. They can win the game on the last play of regulation, a 46-yard field goal. They miss it. So we go overtime. Henderson gets a field goal on its first possession in overtime. Ouachita comes back. They have 4th and 1 from the 6, and one of the best field goal kickers in the country. He won the Battle of the Ravine with a 53-yarder in the last minute a year ago. So, Coach Hatfield, Coach Nutt, you kick that field goal, right? You go to a second overtime. No, you don't. Coach Hatfield wouldn't have at this point. Houston Nutt wouldn't have. You got the momentum. You've scored 14 straight points, so you go for it. You're going to win it or lose it right here, and they get 2 yards, 1st and goal. You've got an All-American tailback. He scores 2 plays later. This series is still close, even though Ouachita's won 6 straight. 46 for Ouachita, 43 for Henderson, and 6 ties through the years. And they'll play number 96 next year. It ought to be on everybody's bucket list. Other games, Harding beats Arkansas Tech 55-10, 530 yards of offense for Harding, 487 on the ground. They run that option offense. Southern Arkansas beats UAM 20-7, scoring 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. So your final records for your 6 GAC teams in the state in the regular season, 3 with winning records, 3 with losing records. Ouachita 11-0, Harding 9-2, Henderson 8-3. Then you had Arkansas Tech 5-6, Southern Arkansas 5-6, and UAM 3-8. ASU moves to 3-7, a 35-33 win over 1-9 UMass up in Jonesboro. The Red Wolves finally got a break. They got the stop on a 2-point conversion attempt with just 18 seconds left in the game and hold on to win that one by 2 rather than going to overtime. UAPB falls to 2-8, 0-7 in the SWAC, 55-24 loss to Prairie View A&M in Pine Bluff. But how about those UCA Bears? They evened up their record at 5-5, 34-7 win at Stephen F. Austin. The Bears had 407 yards of offense. Line finishes the season 1-10, 64-21 loss to Texas Wesleyan. Hendricks finishes 3-7 with a 55-8 loss to Berry. We won't do the SEC this week because of time considerations. But, you know, there's some games in Arkansas on Saturday. Ole Miss at Arkansas, of course, 6:30 p.m. kickoff in Fayetteville. national playoffs in Arkadelphia, Northwest Missouri State. They're kind of the Alabama of Division II. They've got more national championships than anybody. They're at Ouachita. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. And then Jacksonville State is at UCA, and that's a 4 o'clock kickoff. So you've got a game in North Arkansas, you got a game in Central Arkansas, you got a game in South Arkansas. You know what that means. No excuses. Everybody, get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex. All right, we've got some special guests we'll introduce after we get through with our program honoring these young men. Do want to thank Bruce James. Bruce was the person who came up with myself and the guys from the Texas Longhorns to do a sportsmanship award. The Texas Longhorn guys from the '69 game were so impressed with our club that they wanted to give money and plaques and recognize outstanding sportsmanship. We call it the James Street Award. And then we felt that it sort of reached its peak and decided to say, hey, let's name this after somebody here locally. And there's not anybody better in our state to name a sportsmanship award after than Ken Hatfield. Would you not agree? Not only was he's the all-time winningest coach at Arkansas, he was my coach. He was also won a national championship, All-American. Does it right, and it's really neat to look up there. I told Coach, I said, Coach, he said, yeah, those bills on those hats back in the 80s were about a foot tall. So I cropped it. See, I cropped about half of that off of there. And but so great to have Coach here and what he stands for and what these young men stand for. So, like I said, we'll introduce some special guests after this. But at this time, we allowed every high school football program here in Little Rock for a coach to submit a player that most embodies sportsmanship, putting team first, sacrifice, loyalty, all the things that make up sportsmanship. So at this time, what we're going to do, I want you to clap for each one that RJ will call out here. We ask each one to stand, remain standing until we reach all of them. Then at that point, Coach, I'm going to ask you to just come up and stand in the middle, and our man Dwayne will take a picture. But RJ, if you will, go right ahead and introduce our honorees today.
It's now time for the 2022 Ken Hatfield Award finalists. From Baptist Prep, nominated by Coach Zach Welchman, please welcome Luke Stallings. From Little Rock Catholic, nominated by Coach John Fogelman, please welcome Miles Marlowe. From Central High School, nominated by Coach George Shelton, please welcome Cameron Hood. From Episcopal Collegiate, nominated by Coach Michael Carter, please welcome Charlie Moore. From Little Rock Christian Academy, nominated by Eric Koyu, please welcome Justin Smith. From Little Rock Hall STEM Magnet, nominated by Coach Jim Withrow, please welcome Nick Conley. From Pulaski Academy, nominated by Coach Anthony Lucas, please welcome Christian Rose. From Mills University Studies, nominated by Coach Cortez Lee, please welcome Chuckwan Gadsden. From Little Rock Parkview, nominated by Coach Brad Bolding, please welcome Hunter Austin. From Joe T. Robinson, nominated by Coach Todd Escola, please welcome J.P. Walterhouse. From Little Rock Southwest, nominated by Coach Darrell Patton, please welcome Brandon Bryant. And from Southwest Christian Academy, nominated by Coach Greg Ferguson, please welcome Andrew Tomaskovic. Round of applause for all of our finalists.
All right, so first I want to have, if you're a head football coach or an assistant football coach or a faculty member associated with these fine young men, I want all of you to stand right now. I know it's crowded. Head football coaches, assistant football coaches, faculty members, please stand. Look at there. Thank you so much. By the way, I know there's some young men behind me that are playing each other in state playoffs this weekend. I didn't set you guys beside each other on purpose. I just want to let you know. It's just random. Now I want, if you're a family member, I don't care if you're a mom, a dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, if you're a family member of here with this group or you're part of it, of these young men here, please stand up. Let's recognize you. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. Now, you know, we've had about every imaginable great athlete here on the stage. Darren McFadden, as I mentioned, Felix Jones, some of the greats. But I can tell you, I'm just more impressed by these young men. Serious, not joking. Darren McFadden, you guys are the guys that impress me. And I'll tell you why. I'm getting ready to read you what was submitted, but I do want to let you know what they get. They all get the plaques, and we give them $100 and then $250 for the winner. My girlfriend Jessica was writing, and I said, Jessica, will you please read all the bios for me? As she was reading, she goes, these guys are so outstanding, I want to give money. So my girlfriend and her son said they want to throw in another $100 on top. So each of you will get $200, and the winner gets $350. So thank you, Jessica Davis, for doing that. So I'll tell you what we'll do, Matt. At this point, what I'm going to do, you can just go ahead and down with the music. I do this every year. It's very challenging. I'm just going to take excerpts of what the coaches have sent. I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't want it to be a thing where you're looking up and you're comparing, well, this kid's story is more moving than this kid's story. This kid has a better, I just want you to look at this as a collective group. And I've gotten emotional, Rex, over the years doing this. So here we go. So I'm going to try to run through these. Just give me about 5 minutes, and I think you will be inspired by what you hear. Our nominee has been in our program all 4 years. Rarely does he play, but he never complains. Instead of sulking on the sidelines, he's the first to congratulate or console a player coming off the field. Whatever is needed, he'll do. He's also the first to volunteer and give his time outside of school to any organization asking for help. Not only is he a supporter for his football teammates, but all the other sports as well. You'll find him in the stands leading the student body of the basketball games, baseball games. He sits as close as he can to the dugout. I even saw him during the summer at Legion games. He's a student athlete that represents our program in a way that makes us proud to be a coach. We recruited this student athlete out of the hallway during the COVID school year. Decent sized kid who was also very respectful. He was definitely the type of kid we wanted to rebuild this program because enrollment had gone down to 172, so did the size of our football team. He joined only 11 other players, but they wanted to stay and start football and get football back to where it used to be. He never missed a practice, workout, or any other team function. His commitment was contagious, and it filtered the other players. We have a very small coaching staff, so we must have players who are servant-led. He's the first to help set up the weight room or practice, and afterwards is always there to clean up. He started this year as a linebacker, but we needed him at offensive line, so he played there. At one game, he played 6 different positions and did so without complaint. His attitude has helped move our program last year. I truly believe this program would have died if not for the attitude of this student athlete and his teammates. It's rare this day to see a young man exhibit those characteristics. When you read about Ken Hatfield in the description of the Ken Hatfield Award, this student athlete on our team immediately comes to mind. He's been a part of our football team for 4 years, and during his time here, his family faced some tough adversity, especially with the loss of his father at the beginning of his time here. This shook him and his family, but it did not stop him from progressing in the classroom football and the high level of character that this young man has. He's at school and practices every day, is always laughing and smiling. I can't remember the last time he missed a day. He's a natural leader on our team and motivates others to achieve success. He's advanced as a player, has become a true student of his craft, and doesn't forget to bring along his teammates with him by doing extra drills to help develop younger guys. This outstanding student athlete hardly ever speaks, but has become a two-year starter for us and a leader based on his work ethic. He has a bright future at the next level of football, but I'm very proud to nominate him as the Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award nominee. I wish we had more young men like him. While this student athlete may not be the biggest contributor on the field, He's a very important part of our program. He's always the first to jump out on scout team, take initiative to do whatever is necessary for his team to be successful. He embodies team. His teammates love and respect him because he leads by example, even though he's not a starter. His family suffered the tragic death of his sister not long ago, and this young man's faith strengthened, as did his servant attitude around our program. He plays in the band every Friday night during halftime and is involved in multiple clubs on campus, always helping others. I couldn't imagine a better young man who embodies sportsmanship, leadership, and servanthood while not being the superstar on the field. He's a superstar in life in our book. Nominating this young man is an honor and privilege. He's smart and creative, humble, deserving in so many ways. He exceeds all requirements, all expectations for this award. His personality, intelligence, and love for others creates an environment where all feel welcomed. His characteristics are similar to Coach Hatfield's as a coach and player. He's a leader on and off the field, follows no one, and isn't swayed by popular demand or popularity. Although his physical talents may not be number one, his unique characteristics are undeniable. I love that. Although his physical talents may not be number one, his unique characteristics are undeniable. Each week he works hard on the field and in the classroom. His teachers applaud his behavior and his infectious attitude. Although he's not a starter on the field, he's the first reserve to answer when his number is called. Statistics are not his goals, but team camaraderie is the most important value. This student athlete has been around football his whole life. From an early age, his passion for the sport was evident. And so, as he grew, so did his passion. He uses that passion to motivate his teammates. When he was in the middle of internal and external struggles, he continued to push himself and his teammates. Even in the middle of trials, he's had the ability to bring the best out of those around him. He plays the game the right way and the right mentality. Could not be more proud of the man he has become. I've been fortunate to coach this young man in high school and junior high school for 7 years. In all my dealings, he's shown to be a young man of character, intelligence, and talent. He's a senior now, and he's one of the hardest working student athletes that I've worked with in my 33 years of coaching football. Never takes a day off, leads by example, relentless as a player. He's taken his natural talent to the next level through tremendous hard work and tremendous desire to excel. He's even a finer young man than he is a football player. Great attitude in the classroom, polite, humble, very active in fellowship of Christian athletes. No one will outwork him. He will combine his God-given talent with a great desire to excel that is second to none. Our nominee has flourished on the football field the last 2 years. He's emerged as one of the state's best defensive linemen and has several small colleges recruiting him. But his life has not been an easy road. His past has been marked by neglect, homelessness, and abandonment. He spent much of his childhood in youth houses and was unaware where his next meal would come from. His life changed when he met his godparents at the Dream Center in downtown Little Rock. Over time, through developing a strong relationship with him, they became his guardians, and he moved in with them and his family. He's always had a heart to serve, and he gives back to his community through service to his church home at New Life. He brings great energy and leadership to the football field every Friday night and is an integral part of our football team. His life adversity has taught him to be extremely resilient. It's a pleasure to coach him. Our nominee has been through a lot the past 2 years. He lost his mother 2 years ago, who was a rock of their family. She was the biggest fan both on the field and off the football field. Losing his mother really hurt him, but he made it through with his teammates supporting him all the way. He brings a unique atmosphere to our locker room and our team that the players admire. He cares about all of them, and he wants the best for everyone on the team. Doesn't say a lot, but his presence is always felt. He's played on offense and defense throughout his time here, but the most important thing is that he never complains. He's truly a team player. He lost his grandfather last month, but he still kept things together. He's endured a lot since he's been here, and the players have truly pulled him through because of the way he treats them. Our standard with our team is that all coaches and players compete with humility and respect, and that's what this student nominee embodies. He truly takes the practice of sportsmanship to heart. A true sportsman does not compete to promote himself. They compete for the joy of the sport, love of the game, and respect for their fellow competitors. This student athlete is the epitome of each of those. We were very impressed. This is pretty crazy. We were very impressed, but I love it. We were very impressed that he started praying for his teammates and leading prayers to help them handle adverse situations that arose during ball games and the negativity that was resulting when we were losing a ball game. He proved that sports can be played with respect for others while keeping dignity intact. He is quite the role model of how athletes should display sportsmanship regardless of the outcome of a game. I love that. And last but not least, it's our last nominee or honoree. Last year when Coach Hatfield spoke, he said there's only one play in every game. Coach, it's what you said last year when you spoke. There's only one play in every game that decides the game. You have to play every play like it's your last. Our nominee is the player that plays every play like it's his last. He gives all he has in practice and in the games as well. He's a vocal leader on the field and when he's on the sidelines. On any Friday night, you can hear him encouraging his teammates to continue to play hard. His voice, instantly recognizable from the field. He celebrates his teammates more than he celebrates himself. He's a good influence to our younger players by taking them under his wing during practice. The last 2 years have been incredibly difficult for he and his family. His dad spent most of 2021 in the hospital battling health issues. Unfortunately, this past summer, his father passed away. Through everything, he continues to be at every practice and every game. I'm so proud how he has grown over the last year. He continues to be a positive influence and a vocal leader on our football team. How about those guys? Wow! Woo! Woo! So the families that are in here and the coaches in here, hey, great job of what you've done with these young men. And young man, great job for you. So here's the deal. You know, these guys don't know I have trophies that are older than they are, which is sort of scary. Don't have any kids, but I got a lot of bronze. And I don't often make mistakes when it comes to awards. Bruce, you know, I don't make mistakes very often. That's what I tell my girlfriend all the time. She has to hear that. But I made a mistake, and I want to correct it here. We're not going to do this anymore. So when we first started this, we said that we're going to have this award. It was a James Street Award. And we had these guys that we were going to pick a winner. And I always sort of felt uncomfortable about doing that. Really? I mean, we're going to pick one winner to say one story's better than another. It was always uncomfortable for me to do that. And we did it for a while. And 1 year I remember saying, hey, all of you are winners. Remember that, Bruce? When we started voting for this year's class, same thing happened. We had 4 or 5 people in the committee, and all of them had different winners. So going forward, starting today, this is going to be a sportsmanship award for every school. It'll be the Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award for Central, for Hall, or whatever. And there's not going to be a winner or a loser. And what we're going to do, the Touchdown Club and any guy in here wants to help throw some more money in there, we're going to add at least $100 more to each of you. So we're going to get you up to $300 and just say every one of you are going to be winners because of the young men you are and what you've done. Let's give them all a round of applause for our 2020 class Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award. Guys said they like that decision. So guys, listen. I think Debbie, we're making the checks out to them directly now. So it's got to go through you. You get it first. So anybody else, that's up to you who you want to give the money to. But thank you for doing what you do. Keep up the good work. You're going to be successful in life. All of you will be. I promise you. And if we can ever do anything for you, let us know. We really appreciate you. Coach Hatfield, what do you think? Pretty impressive group of young men, isn't it? Amen. That's all, Coach Hatfield, that's all that needs to be said, isn't it? Yes. All right. Yes? Okay, Hazel adds another 100. Well, we're just going to pass the plate. How about that? We're just going to pass the plate during the rest of the meeting. All right, it's time for our guest speaker, Matt, if you will give the Sully intro.
There's a lot of lions, tigers, and bears, but there ain't but one razorback. Not but one. All I want you to do tonight is play your best. Don't worry about making a mistake. You make a mistake, that's fine, as long as you're going 100 miles an hour.
Who could forget those nothing but fun years? 1998 was a magical season. The Hogs, who were picked to finish last in the West Division, came one freak play away from possibly competing for a national championship. Houston was voted National Coach of the Year. In the Nutt era, Arkansas was one of only 3 SEC schools to play in 3 New Year's Day Bowls in a 5-year period. Houston had 1 10-win season, 3 9-win seasons, and an 8-win year as Hog head coach. There were so many great wins. The epic overtime battles, those miraculous wins over LSU.
Now going to the end zone, and it is complete!
The 2000 Cotton Bowl, where his Hogs became the first team to hold the Horns to negative rushing yards in a bowl game. So many good memories. These days, you can find this former Central High great working on the CBS Sports Network. Please welcome Coach Houston Nutt.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I want to do something real quick. I got so caught up in answering the guys. We want to thank Robert Yates for helping us with our young men today. Also want to recognize everybody who is a Razorback player or coach. There's a lot of greats here, Houston. There's a lot of greats here. All you Razorback athletes and coaches, please stand. Listen, there's too many for me to go over them all. Come on, stand up. Greg, come on. Jim, Cliff. Look at there. Look at that. Yes, sir. And we also need to recognize your mom and brother.
Yeah,
where are they at?
Right there, Dennis Nutt, Ouachita Baptist, Rex.
Come on, Dennis, stand up. Miss Nutt, Miss Imogene Nutt, come on, stand up. Yes.
Little Rock Central.
So Reggie Swinton, one of your former players, is
Reggie
here.
Swinton,
Yes.
Little Rock Central. We got Grant, Garrett, Anthony Lucas, Reggie Swinton. I got a couple of teammates from high school. Ken Turner, you remember this guy, Jimmy Walker? You recruited after the All-Star game. You offered him a scholarship. Jimmy Walker's here. There he is.
There he is. All-American right there.
Emmanuel Talbert.
A lot of we're all getting older too, aren't we?
We are. But I want to go back to
let's go back.
I want to go back to your I'm not trying to take over. You told me not to wear a tie, and I look at Coach Hatfield, and I feel bad. Wes Sutton's all dressed up. I usually wear a tie. He told me not to, so I'm sorry. But anyway, that award is so special. Hey, young men, you see that picture on there, Ken Hatfield? Let me tell you something. You take those traits of that sportsmanship and all those stories you read, you take that for life, I'm going to tell you, you'll be a winner. You'll be a winner for life. Not only on the field, but off the field. And you can't have a better man on that plaque that you have. I hope y'all realize what you have, and I love what you're doing by not picking one. All these stories you read are special, and they're so meaningful, and I appreciate what I heard today. So I wish y'all nothing but the best. So, yeah. And I want to say this. So you went, let me get this straight. So you took James Street off, and you moved Ken Hatfield on. Thank you. Okay? Now, I respect Texas, Jim Williams and Freddie Marshall. Hey, I respect Texas. Y'all know I do. But you did the right thing, David. Put Kenny Hatfield on the plaque, please.
Yeah, the timing was right, and I'm so honored to have played for Coach Hatfield. And obviously you grew up, watching this guy.
My brothers, Dennis will tell you, my brothers and I, we didn't go to Fayetteville, but my dad took 4 little boys to Arkansas Razorback games, and a lot of my friends would be in the background playing touch football during warm-ups, and my dad said, right here. Our seats were in the end zone. So I watched my heroes come down that ramp. Kenny Hatfield, Jim Williams, Freddie Marshall, all those guys, John Brittenham, Harry Jones. I can name them all. We don't have time. I can name them all. I know their height and weight. I knew them because I was told to sit there. And I was learning at a very young age how to call those hogs. And it was not a greater feeling in the world to walk around that stadium with my uncles and my brothers and people in red. And they were holding up 2 fingers and 3 fingers and 4 fingers. And I never will forget, at the age of 7, Dad, what are they doing? They're holding up 2 fingers and 3 fingers. They want tickets. I said, well, do we have tickets? I said, yes, we got our end zone tickets. We just had our Black Angus burger. I mean, that's living. That's living right there. That's Al Herringer over too. I left him out. I want to leave any of these Razorbacks out.
Yeah, it's tough. That's why I didn't want to start the. Yeah. Now, we'll say all these young men, I was thinking, like, for me, Houston, I'm not from Arkansas. But I remember as a 16-year-old senior getting the papers. There was an alumni down in Florida that would send me the Democrat and the Gazette. 2, not 1, but 2 papers every day covering all the Razorbacks. And I thought, wow, if I could ever achieve a little bit of success as a Razorback, I thought maybe I could do more things in the community once I got through. And so bringing back to what it means to be a Razorback and be in this state is that it's not just about being the greatest athlete.
Yep.
It's not. I wasn't the greatest athlete, but being an athlete, going what you guys have been through, it teaches you discipline and work ethic. And to look around this room and see some of these guys who, they maybe didn't play in the NFL very long. Some of them got Super Bowl rings, Greg and others, but others didn't make it. So it's not about just football. Football ends pretty quickly for everybody. It's what you do after that.
There's no question about it. I love football so much. I think it's the greatest game in the world. Now, Dennis will say basketball is, but it's football for me, and I love basketball too. But football, you're going to get knocked down, and that's okay, as long as you get back up. And you got to keep getting back up. You're going to get knocked down. That's not the sin. The sin is if you stay down, you got to get back up. And I really appreciate what you've done with all these awards, but especially this one, because it means so much. And it's like you said, it's about doing the little things right with a work ethic and an attitude and effort.
Somebody asked me outside, they go, do you think Houston is more appreciated now than when he was coaching?
Well, I feel like it. It's always good to come back to Little Rock.
There was a time, because obviously things, you went and coached somewhere else and was away from the state.
Right.
And did you miss that relationship that you had while you were gone, and then talk about coming back? I know you started doing the radio show with us, and you started hearing that love that people had for you and realized it was here.
You know what a bad feeling is sometimes? When you wake up and you realize you're in the visitor's dressing room and you're putting on another helmet, and it's almost, Coach Hatfield, it was rough. Couldn't sleep all week, and it was so hard to picture being in that visitor's locker room and coming out on the visitor side. And that's a tough feeling, really tough, because you grew up loving those Hogs. And so that was difficult. But to answer your question, it's some of the greatest times. I really appreciate Ken Turner for recruiting me under Frank Broyles. And he was awesome. And I really apologize to his wife all the time, because I waited after basketball season to sign, because I wanted to go through basketball. And I didn't realize what a difficult job I made on a coach to make him work all the way through March. And so I feel bad about that, mostly bad for Kathy Turner, his wife. But I have some of the greatest feelings in the world in Arkansas, some of the greatest times. And it started at home with Mom and Dad, my brothers, Arkansas School for the Deaf, Little Rock Central. I have such pride about Little Rock Central. And then to be a Razorback, to watch all those players and to be able to play and then to be able to coach is awesome. And we had some great times, and we won a lot of good games, and there were some tough times. And that's what I'm talking about being able to go forward and keep going. And that's when your family gets real, real close, when things don't go so well. And you want to win. There's no doubt about it. But the greatest feeling in the world is like when I see these players like Grant Garrett, what kind of man he is, what kind of father he is. Anthony Lucas, not only an unbelievable player. Reggie Swinton, what he does with Pee Wee teams, but what Anthony's doing with his team. I can go on and on. That's the greatest reward there is, that come back and say, hey, Coach Nutt, when you woke us up at 5:30 in the morning those Januaries, and you said, these are the best days of your life, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Then in August, it was to be 110 heat index, and I'd say, these are the best days of your life. You get to be a Razorback, and they'd look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm going to tell you something. Grant Garrett and Anthony Lucas and Reggie Swinton, all these guys will tell you there's not a greater feeling in the world than a celebrated locker room, winning a game, and then after that, 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, they never forget that.
I was very honored. I played 2 years for Coach Hatfield. Lou Holtz recruited me. I played 3 years for him, and both these guys could give great speeches. Of course, if Coach Holtz were here, Coach Hatfield, he'd say, of course I give the best. Don't you forget about that Houston Nutt. But I will tell you, I think you can look, there's plenty of tape. Back in those days, Coach Hatfield, there was no camera showing in the locker room showing you or Coach Holtz giving us a pep talk. But when you decided to start coaching, you allowed the cameras to come in, and Sully played in the intro about a portion of that. But I want to show, Matt, that whole, it's about 60 seconds. I think it's one of the greatest speeches, pregame speeches ever. And for those that don't know, it's in the Frank Broyles complex back then, and there was a door behind it that goes up where the team would run out. And to listen to the timing of the hog call in the background with what Houston is saying. It is truly one of the best ever, Matt, if you will.
Hey, fellas, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. This is your home. You hear that? You hear that? That's special. There's a lot of lions, tigers, and bears, but there ain't but one razorback. Not but one. All I want you to do tonight is play your best. Don't worry about making a mistake. You make a mistake, that's fine, as long as you're going 100 miles an hour. Hit him right up in the mouth and pick him up. Somebody kicks you after the play, smile at him and say, I'll see you in 25 seconds. I'll see you in 25 seconds. It's about little things, fellas. Poise and confidence. Poise and confidence. When one of your teammates makes a play, I want to see 10 to come tell him. Somebody makes a tackle, a big hit, I want to see 10 go tell him. You play like the Razorbacks, fellas. You're ready. You are ready. Physically and mentally, you're ready. When we hit this field, we hit it better than anybody in the country. I want the defense on the left, offense on the right, and then all of a sudden we come in all together as one. Hey, sideline, you guys that are watching, redshirt freshmen, I want you to be the best cheerleaders in America. You help your teammates, encourage. This is it, baby. This is the start. We come back in here tonight, it's 1-0. Here we go. Right now, let's take the field.
Woo! So that was one number one. That was game one. Oh, I didn't see this. I hadn't seen this. Here we go. That is one fit Houston Nutt right there. Look at there. Clint Starner. Good stuff. So when you see that, thanks, Matt. When you see that, what sort of comes to mind when you
It's a great feeling. You know, it's an honor and a privilege, you know, to be able to coach and come out with those guys. And because I know the sacrifice they made, and I know the investment they made, and they had 2 tough years. Grant and them will tell you. When I met with those guys early on, that I knew they would do anything that we asked them to do. They were hard-nosed. Danny Ford had brought a lot of good players in there. But the basis of it was Arkansas. If you look at the line of scrimmage, it was Arkansas. If you look at all the way through the line of scrimmage when they won big, I think Coach Hatfield will tell you, there was an Arkansas nucleus. And it helped the Texas players. The Texas players, all of a sudden, when they got to Arkansas, they say, ooh, this means something a little bit special. I'm going to play a little bit harder. You may be a 5-star, but all of a sudden that 3-star in Arkansas would take that 4 or 5-star from Texas and move his level up. So it gave me chills, you know, to come out in that A on that field, and all you wanted to do was please, and you wanted to win.
Things have changed a little bit since you were there. Obviously, you know, the SEC now, get ready to add Texas and Oklahoma. Your thoughts on Arkansas's ability to compete financially with even tougher? It's already got the toughest schedule in America every year. Now you throw those two in.
I don't know what Oklahoma and Texas. I don't know what they're thinking. Somebody got to explain that to me. Oklahoma was making the Final Four in the Big 12. So you want to come over to the SEC? I know there's a big paycheck, but you better be careful. It's an unbelievable league. It's a superpower. And when everybody recruits right and everybody gets their players, it can be 60 minutes of a lot of headaches. But you know, the thing, I was talking to Coach Hatfield, the thing that bothers me, I've always wanted players to have money. I wanted them to have movie money, gas money, food, extra. I wanted that. But the NIL, to me, is out of control. And I had a laundry check. I never will forget asking Ken Turner, Coach Turner, what's this $6.25 I got on the end of the month? It's a laundry check. Really? I took $2 for gas, $2 for burgers, $2 for movie. I felt like I was rich. I was fired up. And that's what I thought cost of attendance was about. You get $5,000 or so for a player. If you're eligible for Pell Grant, you get that. You don't have to take it back. You get all the food you want. You get tutors. You get to play in great stadiums. What else do you want? And so now you add the NIL, and I'm thinking on the sideline as I'm watching this, wow, NIL. So if I had Darren McFadden, he would be, let's see, he would probably have First Simmons Bank, right? He'd probably have DQ, Dairy Queen. Yeah, I'll take him. I can go right down the line. But then what would happen on Monday, Peyton Hillis or Felix Jones would come in Danny Nutt's office and say, hey, can I do a deal? Can I go to Stevens and maybe do a meet and greet on off day? Can I get a look? Sean Andrews or Jason Peters, who's still playing in the NFL, he may come to me, hey, coach, I'm blocking for these guys. Can I have a deal? Yeah, I think it disrupts the locker room so much about it's not team. It's an individual thing now. And then you add that to recruiting and the promises, and all of a sudden Simmons may say, hey, look, we paid for the guy, the 5-star, but he's not playing. Can we move our money to the other guy who's starting? You know, there's a lot of scenarios you can get into. Then you add the transfer portal. I've helped players transfer when things aren't going right. I'd help them transfer. But now you have a bad scrimmage, coach gets mad at you, I'm going to put my name in the transfer portal. So some of my research at CBS, I have to check out all the boxes of who's transferred where. If you look at the number of quarterbacks that's transferred from one school to the other, you got to have a dictionary. You got to go through and study like, whoa. You know, so it's a different world.
What do you think about Sam Pittman and his fit at Arkansas? You know, he's 9-4 last year. This year, 5-5 with 2 tough games to go and bowl eligibility obviously in play at that point. Yeah.
You know, I've never met Coach Pittman, but just from the outside looking in, I love the way he's embraced Arkansas. I love the way he loves his players. And I know after last year, everybody gets excited. You win 9 games, and then you get some people get hurt, and all of a sudden it's not as nice. And this is where, you got to hang in there. And as fans, sometimes you got to hang in there too. And most of you in this room, I know you do. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And but hey, got 2 more games now. You got a chance. Let's go. Let's go get this bowl game, and let's go get this one this week in our backyard. Now, what I loved about the atmosphere Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. is pretty early, and so I always worried about at home game. I like to be on the road at 11 o'clock because they're not quite as juiced up, and we go take a shower and get ready. And let's get our sleepies out of our eyes and let's get ready to compete. But at home, it was perfect because it's cold. Louisiana doesn't like cold. It's 28 degrees. You had to wipe off some snow, sweep the snow off. And so we had every opportunity. But hey, just keep fighting, keep recruiting, and I think they'll be fine. It's this game is speed. You mentioned Perkins. You got to have an edge rusher, you got to have a speed guy, and you got to have a back. You got to have it's a constant juggling act of keeping those players, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, cover corners, and now with offenses spreading you from sideline to sideline, you got to have players that can play in space.
Talking about money, Coach, I can't remember because your pay was public back then. Of course, back in those days, I think you put your phone number in the media guide. Could you imagine that today?
No.
Put your phone number in the media guide? Wow. But Coach, I can remember the first Broyles Award winner, Mickey Andrews, was making $150,000 a year, and I don't know. Well, now coaches are making $10 million a year in college. Good or bad? It's because of TV.
Well, I think it's getting awfully tough because let's look at Jimbo Fisher. He's making a lot of money. Now, do y'all think his fans feel good? Do y'all think he feels good going to bed at night? No, he doesn't. And so it just adds pressure. But the ceilings never. The coaches can't help it. One thing that Diana always hated was when they printed our salaries in the paper. They put it all out there. So I said, yep, we're in this fishbowl. And so what's amazing is how quick is they figure that up. So we're paying this guy so much a win. And so when Texas A&M's sitting there at 3, we're paying you what? We're paying you how much a win? It doesn't add up right. And so I tell you, I think it's a hard time, but that's just the way it is. That's not going away. It's probably going to keep going that way. It's going up.
Keith, and also you mentioned with Sam Pittman about recruiting. I mean, you recruited two of the greatest to ever play, Matt Jones and Darren McFadden, and just your memory of them being Arkansas kids and what they were able to do.
Matt Jones was a phenomenal athlete at 6'6", 240 pounds, ran 4.37, and he didn't even have to stretch. You know, he goes to a combine, and the scouts were calling me. He says, "Hey, does Matt Jones, does he ever stretch?" Usually not. He's ready. He's like a coon dog. You tell him to go. Tell him to go, you know. But he was, he sometimes, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd kind of get upset with him because I wanted him to go a little harder. You know, he was real cool. You know, he could handle everything, ice water in his veins. And every time we would play, a defensive coordinator, Joe Lee Dunn, I never will forget, I remember Lou Holtz, all these guys coming to midfield saying, "I didn't know that guy was that fast." Because he didn't look that fast on film. He's faster than you think. He was such a difference maker, especially as a freshman in the 7 overtime win.
Yeah, we just sort of kicking back.
He just kept, you know, leaning back. I said, "You all right?" "I'm good. I'm good." And so he was really, he's fun to watch. And then Darren McFadden, Danny did such a good job recruiting him because they're late. As you know, Darren McFadden could have gone Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, here they come, Texas. They're all coming to get him. But Danny did a great job with the family. And Darren really deep down inside always wanted to be a Razorback. That always helps. He always wanted to be a Razorback. But Darren was a home run hitter. And what I mean by that is you get him to the second level, he's gone. But what I loved about him was on Sunday we'd watch special teams first as a team, and he would come in and he would punch me. "Watch my block." He wouldn't say, "Watch my run" in front of the team. He'd say, "Watch my block." And on the kickoff return, he was the other returnee, and they usually kicked away from him. They kicked it to Felix. That was a bad decision too. and so he would go block, and he wouldn't just block. He would block. Pancake. And I never will forget, I think it was either Urban Meyer or Phil Furman. I couldn't remember. They said, "Hey, Coach," at the SEC spring meetings, they said, "Hey, Coach, we took that special teams play and showed our team." I said, "Which one? What are you talking about?" "That All-American number 5, we showed our team this is what an All-American does. He blocks without the ball. He's not worried about carries. He's going to help his teammates." So it was good.
You know, you had some great wins, but I remember Coach Brules, you know, never watched the 69 game. Coach, I don't know if you watched. We didn't lose too many, so I don't know if you watched them or not, but I think back, obviously the 98 Tennessee game was tough, and I think about the Florida game that you got momentum. Do those things, do the losses, do they stand in your mind? Do they seem to overtake maybe the wins, the positives?
There's 2 losses that wake me up about every 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. 2 losses. Knoxville, Tennessee, and but what always bothers me about ESPN is we won the following year, but they always played the highlight of the 1998, Grant. They play that, and in 99 we go to Fayetteville and win by the exact same score, but they don't want to play those highlights. And so that was this tremendous group that played so hard. It's a great win. And then the other one is Florida in the championship, SEC championship. We outplayed them. The ball boy, I don't know if y'all realize, we have ball boys on the other sideline. So in Atlanta, one of my ball boys came up to me and said, "Coach, I got to talk to you." I said, "Well, hang on. I got to talk to the team. Hang on." He kept nudging me. "Coach, I got to talk to you." And Urban Meyer had said, as he's walking off, my ball boy was there. He's coming to our dressing room as they crisscross. Urban Meyer would say, "We're getting outplayed. We're getting out coached. We're getting out hit. We're going to lose this game." He couldn't wait to tell me. Coach, Urban Meyer said, "Well, you're out playing them, you're out hitting them, you're out smarting them. Coach, you're going to win this game." I said, okay, hold on. We got to go 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes. And sure enough, they faked a punt on the first series. Faked a punt, backed up on the -14. Faked a punt. Now, what you don't realize is they made a first down, but we stopped them. And that's when they punted, and the momentum changed on that very play. That hurts.
You know, when I was up there as the honorary team captain this past week, my mother, she got a little emotional just reflecting and thinking what it was like back in 81 when, Coach, back then we didn't even have a deck on each side. It didn't have an end zone. You could see the mountains through the end zone. Right. Now you got this 72,000, you know, so you got millions of dollars, and, you know, War Memorial, you get one game every once in a while. Do you ever think back and just remember going down Markham and buses driving, 80 miles an hour through that traffic and all the people up and down the sidewalk? And for me, Houston, I remember I want to play for that young man that's down in, Helena or Lake Village that may never get to go to a game. I just remember the simplicity of being back there in the good old days. You didn't have every game televised.
That's what we loved. We loved growing up in Little Rock, like we mentioned. We loved both stadiums, no question about it. But Little Rock was to me, it was 55,000 people, and they were playing every play. And the people in the South and the East, they made it to Little Rock. It was hard to get to Fayetteville because they didn't have the highway they have now. So it was really hard. But, boy, you talking about chill bumps. You get out of that bus, you get on that bus, and you're going down. And I remember Danny and I and Marcus, and we'd be punching each other. They're here today. These hogs are here today now. They're here, and they're lined up on West Markham, and they're banging on the bus. And we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to get there. And to me, that's what it's about.
Do you think this program can get to Atlanta again? Mm-hmm. A lot of tough. They can compete. Should the fans have the expectations every few years for that to happen? What should the fans' expectations be?
Here's the thing. It can't happen every year. It's hard to sustain in this league. It's hard. It can happen. You got to believe it. When you believe, that's when you achieve. You can do it. But it just takes, you got to have a little bit of luck, stay healthy, get the right guys that want to be Razorbacks. Got to have speed. Got to have speed. Got to have toughness. Got to have character. What's on that plaque? Play one play. This best play. This play. You don't know which 4 or 5 plays will make a difference. You got to play each play hard. You got to have those kind of guys. Got to have a quarterback. Always got to have a quarterback. Got to have a point guard. When you got that, I really think with a great defense, difference makers at wide out, tailback, always got to have linemen, great linemen. It can happen.
Last thing we'll do, I know there's some family members here and coaches, but your dad and mom, just talk about what they meant to you and your family, your brothers.
They're the best. They're the best. Arkansas School for the Deaf, 3 blocks from where we lived. I couldn't understand why all the deaf kids kept coming to our house on weekends. I said, Mom, why they keep coming knocking on the door? They want to see their coach. They've seen him all week. They want to come see their coach. So I don't know if y'all realize there's only one deaf school in each state. So Dennis and I, Danny, Dickie, our playgrounds were the deaf school. If it wasn't a deaf school, it's Little Rock Central or Pulaski Heights, wherever we were at the time, Pulaski Heights, Forest Heights. But the deaf school, what I loved about that is at the age of 4 or 5, they had to come to the deaf school, like a college. And so our playgrounds would, hey, Johnny, throw me the ball. You better have your eyes open. You better have your mind working. That ball is coming. Football, basketball, or baseball, those are the 3 sports. And so it didn't matter the color of your skin. Native American, African American, Asian, Mexican, as long as you could sign, you were in the family. And so not only I had that family, my mother taught English for 33 years. My dad was the basketball, football, track coach, and bus driver, and I was the gym rat that handed out the bologna sandwiches after every game in that box, cardboard box, and always be one left, one thick bologna sandwich. But it's the greatest days. Emmanuel's brother, James, played for my dad, him and Benny Fuller. Benny Fuller scored 102 points. I witnessed it at Eneola, Arkansas. And I never forget, I told this last night, so Hatcher remembers it, but I never forget at age 7, I was sitting on that bench, and I was watching my dad, and he called timeout, and he called it very abruptly. There's a time you call timeout, and there's a time And he met his 5 players on the basketball court. He went right to them so quick, and he had them all lined up, and he took 2 fingers and did that, and he said, no sweat, no sweat. Went to the next guy, did his forehead like that, no sweat. Went to the next guy, went to the third guy, no sweat. He finally got to Benny Fuller, and he was wet of sweat. He said, how could you not sweat for him? That stuck with me. Your teammate better sweat for one another. You better give your all for one another. That's what we had a lot of our Razorback teams. These guys had tough time. When we got there in 98, they had some tough times, but boy, they would sweat for one another. They would give for one another. And that to me, that you talk about mom and dad, that's where it started. You know, Sunday now we had to go to church. You know, I had the privilege of playing on a Nutt Pee Wee team, and we'd go to Hoxie, we'd go to Tuckerville, we'd go to Fordyce, Kingston, and we'd Nutt Pee Wee, my brothers and cousins, we'd play before the Nutt brothers, you know. And we were pretty talented. We had to play it. We were third graders or fourth grade. We had to play the sixth and seventh graders because we were ahead of the schedule. Well, I never will forget coming back from Tuckerman one night. We're driving back, about to get the little 311 Rice, and my dad says, "Hey, Imogene, make sure these boys they're going to sleep in the morning now. Let's just sleep in Sunday morning." My mom, she does her average thing, gravy, biscuits. It wasn't any, cereal or automatic microwave. I mean, it's the real deal. When my mother, it's gravy, biscuits, bacon, eggs. She's got it going. She's getting the roast ready for lunch after church. And the Sunday school clothes were on our bed. I said, "Mom, Dad said we sleeping in today." No, we're going to church. Going to church. Doors are open. That's the only time my dad gave in to Mom, because Dad ran the show. He ran the show, and I don't know, to just give you an idea, especially young people, my dad would go to Fordyce every other week to Fordyce to see our grandparents who were totally deaf. The four boys in the back, I was the oldest of four, and I don't know if y'all had brothers, but sometimes we'd get in a little scuffle. And we'd be driving along, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 like that. And he'd always ask the most important question: "You want some more?" He didn't know anything about timeout. I didn't want timeout. You want belt out or this? That's it. So we had a strong disciplinarian running the show. We had mother as the foundation, a Christian background, and you better give effort.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a Houston Nutt, Ken Hatfield, and our outstanding young men here. Big honor today. Thanks for being here. We'll do pictures here if you want to get pictures with Coach Nutt. That was awesome, brother. Great job. All right, I need all the honorees with the coaches here real quick. Coach Hatfield, Coach Nutt, we'll do this real quick. Honorees, you don't have to have your plaques, right? No plaques, Dwayne? No plaques? No plaques. You want to come up here or what? Athletes, y'all come on down here.